everybody. Appreciate you hanging out. That's Tone. I am Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's hit the like button if we could. All right, let's look at the defense here, Tone. So 23 or more first downs allowed in 6 straight games. Second most passing touchdowns allowed in football. They're 28th in points allowed, 28th in passing yards. They're 6th against the run, which they were 1 for a while. 15 takeaways to 19 giveaways, so they're -4, which is 23. They're 30th in red zone efficiency. They are 22nd in sacks per pass play. Third down efficiency, they're 32nd. They're 31st in interceptions, 20th in takeaways. I don't need to keep going.
Just say they're awful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Again, I'm going to harp on this. I think the offense is just in a little bit of a rut. I think it's a combination of they played really good teams and really good defenses, and they've made mistakes, which they can't make in terms of turning it over, and guys just aren't playing at their best. I believe that, and you could call me, a hopeless optimist there, but I believe the offense is certainly capable of fixing itself. I do. I see this stuff defensively, and the area I think they can improve on is I definitely think they can be better at getting to the passer. That I do believe in terms of tackling the quarterback. It's called a sack last time I checked, not just a pressure. I always hear about the pressures. That's great.
Yeah.
Get the sack. Okay. But as far in the way Dave put it, for the back seven, I don't believe in the back seven, and the back seven concerns me. This is where you're going to have to coach it up to get around some of those shortcomings. But the defense is a major concern.
Yeah. It's like, where do you begin with the defensive side? Like, where can you find the silver lining in the playbook? No pun intended.
Right.
They're just bad. They're ineffective. They lack discipline in key spots. I'm looking at Bradbury as a guy who just looked like he's done. He looks like he doesn't even have the legs anymore. He looks like he doesn't have the instinct anymore. Maybe I have been harder on Slade than I probably should, but overall, I'm looking at them as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And as a group, they're not good. They're just not. Yeah, Reed Blankenship is the highest graded defensive back, the highest graded safety, potentially in the running for a Pro Bowl spot, but he can't stay healthy. And as a group, they're not good. So the expectations for this offense have increased exponentially because the defense, you can make an argument, has gotten worse as the season has progressed.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and the thing is, and granted, the Eagles put up 35 points, whatever it was in the Super Bowl. But when you're playing really good defenses, you're asking a lot of your offense to have to go that crazy. So whatever they did against, say, Miami or some of the other, maybe Dallas the first time. And I know some of that was they got some breaks in that Dallas game, but they gave up 17 to Miami, I think it was, and 23 to the Cowboys off the top of my head. You got to figure out a way to get close to that. I don't know that you're going to get exactly that, but you got to get close to that.
They got to, this defense. See, my expectation for the defense was I don't think they're going to come in and just shut people down. But I did at least expect them to be capable of getting timely stops, timely turnovers, right? At least being able to get off the field on third down most of the time. And I at least expect them to be a disciplined defense as well. And I don't see any of those things happening, right? You don't need a number 1 defense to win Super Bowl. Does it help? Yeah, it does. But you don't need one. If you have a top 12 defense, you can win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Because your offense can cover that slack. When both sides of the ball aren't really working well, it's a recipe for disaster. Your offense can't sustain drives. Your defense can't get off the field to end drives. You're not going to beat anybody. I don't care if you're the Giants or the Cardinals. You're not going to beat anybody if your offense can't sustain drives and your defense can't end drives. It's simple.
Yeah, I and the other thing is, I know the recipe for folks. They get frustrated because the Eagles play sticks defense and they don't want to give up a big play. Is to blitz. They're getting killed when they blitz. because the problem is you're leaving those corners who we're talking about who are struggling so mightily on an island alone without a lot of help. So it's not really the answer. I'm not pretending I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have all the answers on defense. I don't. But I think you're really risking, because your secondary is not good enough, putting those dudes out there in single man coverage. I just asking for
because they're so bad, you get wider on blitz. So you need as many bodies back to the cover because they won't be able to hold up. So blitzing is like counterintuitive to, just the overall goal of the defense, right? And it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay, your D line's not getting enough pressure. Maybe if you speed the quarterback up, you can create some havoc. But then your guys can't hold up long enough. It's just football is a complementary sport, and the Philadelphia Eagles, it's like buying pieces to a puzzle, and they all don't fit together.
Yeah,
right. Like you have all these individual parts, and you're trying to build this thing that, okay, can I, this isn't the exact part I need, but maybe if I wiggle it here, maybe if I force it here, maybe it can work. And right now, when it comes to Philadelphia Eagles, I don't see a well-oiled machine with cogs working with each other. I don't see that. I see cogs. I see resistance in the defense and the offense. I see things working against each other.
Right. I think, what I think it is, Tone? A couple things. They thought the pass rush would be a top 5 pass rush again. It hasn't been. It's number 12 right now. And that makes up for a lot. That cures a lot of ills when you're getting to the quarterback like they did last year. I think they thought that. I think they definitely didn't see the fall off, the extremely, long, deep, whatever fall off from James Bradbury. Like Dave said, and I agree with Dave, like Slay's been fine. I'm not telling you he's a Pro Bowler. He's been fine. But Bradbury has really struggled, and your safety position for a lot of reasons, one, Blankenship hasn't been able to stay on the field, and he's young and he'll make mistakes from time to time. Byard coming over here has not given them the lift that they thought. You lost Avonte Maddox, which was the most underrated injury all season, which nobody still talks about. Huge deal. And shame on you, because you thought you were going to get away with this linebacker stuff. They thought Nakobe Dean was going to be legit, but you didn't know.
Huge miscalculation.
Right.
Huge.
And that one, that's where I have a lot of trouble feeling, that's where Howie's got to own that one a little bit.
Yes, because it's like, I spoke about this prior to the season, before things even went left in free agency, right? I said, this is the perfect scenario. You move on from Kaiser White, because I didn't think they would keep both of them, and I didn't think Kaiser White was the best linebacker they had anyway.
Yeah,
I felt like he had good weeks and bad weeks, but here was the perfect scenario for me. You drafted Nakobe Dean. Okay, he didn't get that much playing time in year one, but that's okay. He was playing behind guys that were just better and more experienced. So you have Nakobe Dean waiting in the rafters. TJ Edwards and Kaiser White are going to be free agents. You let Kaiser White walk. You even let Marcus Epps walk, right? You bring back the linchpin to your defense, which was TJ Edwards. He played the most snaps for you. He was the most healthy guy and the most consistent guy, and make sure everybody was lined up correctly. You bring back TJ Edwards on whatever, a 2-year, 3-year deal, whatever the number would have been, it would have been. And then you put Nakobe Dean next to him, on the field as off ball, which doesn't put as much pressure on Nakobe Dean to be the guy earlier on. And he can kind of just play free and instinctually, instead of having to worry about making sure guys are lined up, guys are in their spots. With that green dot, you're not just playing your position. You have to make sure everyone else is playing theirs. So that was a lot of pressure to put on a guy who got no snaps in year one. And you're expecting him to just take that green dot and just be the guy in year two. So that was a huge miscalculation by Harry Roseman.
No net. Basically.
No net. At least if TJ Edwards is there and he's the green dot, and if you want to move on from Edwards after, you give him a 2-year deal, whatever, and then Nakobe Dean naturally emerges as that quintessential middle linebacker, then you can do that. But it was a huge miscalculation by Harry Roseman, and the fact that they didn't even make TJ Edwards an offer is malpractice at its finest. He's in Chicago, Rob.
Yeah,
he's in Chicago,
wasting his
doing
time.
Nothing, wasting his talent.
Yeah.
Now he's from the area.
I agree.
He's from the area. Fair enough. But I'm pretty sure if the Philadelphia Eagles would have made him an offer, he would have stayed in Philadelphia because they
Yeah,
see, just because you didn't draft him doesn't mean you shouldn't have given him a shot, because I bet any amount of money, if they drafted TJ Edwards, they would have found a way to keep him. But because he was undrafted and they picked him up a day later,
right,
or an hour after the draft, or an hour after the draft ended, his value didn't hold up, and his value didn't hold up in the organization. You basically picked him up on draft day or the day after, a rookie. You developed him, and then you sent him somewhere else. Just when you got him to the point of he is one of the best linebackers in the league, or one of the most reliable. Let me not say one of the best, one of the most reliable linebackers in the NFL. Just when you built him up to that point, you off him, and you didn't even trade him. You let him walk. You didn't even get nothing for him. You let him walk. We got like certain things, like they need to be investigated for that one. That's one move. That's one move I can't get behind it, and it will bother me to no end.
Well, I'll throw another thing that I think can get better. Okay. But I don't like what I've seen the last 4 games. They were a really good team against the run defensively. Up until about Kansas City, coming out of the bye, really. They were really good against the run up until that point. They've now gone 4 straight games where they've given up 100+ yards.
But that's the weird part, right? You had a bye week. You had time to get rest. And all of a sudden you're giving up the run. That's what I think, that's what pisses me off the most about it. You had time to get rest.
Yeah.
And then you come out the bye giving up north of 130, 140 yards rushing weekly.
Right.
How?
Well, I think that the weird thing, here's the only thing I can really attribute it to, Tone. Right around that time coincided with about when a college football season ends. They would right now be, they play usually about 12 or 13 games. And then if you're good, like Georgia and Alabama and all that, you're getting ready for a bowl game and or the playoffs. So they're right around that mark right now at 10-3. Is it as simple as, and then Carter made a big play last week with the return, after the Fletcher Cox strip sack. But have Carter and Davis, I know Davis is in his second year, not his first, but have they hit walls against the run? And they're getting pushed around a little bit more than they were earlier in the season. I don't know how else to explain that one away. I don't have an explanation.
Yeah, I don't really have one either. I feel like that's plausible, right? It's something that could be thought about, but I have a hard time letting them off the hook for that. The only rookie on the D line is Jalen Carter, so I have a hard time just saying, oh, they hit a rookie wall. Well, Fletcher Cox isn't a rookie. Jordan Davis is no longer a rookie. He's been through the grind of an NFL season, and he's actually in better condition now than he was last year.
Yep.
One can argue the snap counts are pretty high, and because they've been unable to get off the field on third down, it's been hard for them to really maintain discipline. When you're tired in any aspect, if you're tired or weak or you're sick or whatever, you know how hard it is for you to have the strongest attention to detail. I mean, I'm sure you can relate, like being tired, it's something that you probably would never miss.
Oh yeah. There's a word you're searching for, or what year was that? Whatever. You're not on your A game. You went for us.
Exactly.
And then in football, where you would normally get off a block or you're just beat down, man. And again, I want to be fair too. It takes a lot out of you when you've played all these teams they played. It does. It didn't help that you a good point by Keys 28. They played, you throw an overtime in there against Buffalo. Like a lot of that has caught up to them. It has. So it's a lot of factors, whereas it's easier for us, and Jake's not wrong here. I'm going to call Josh Sweat out in a second, but it's easy to just point a finger at one group or one person. It's your fault. When it's a lot of things, it's a little more damning. It's a little more scary.
Now let me push back on the Josh Sweat thing, right? Because we were just quick to give the rookies a pass for the rookie wall.
Correct.
But Josh Sweat already through week 15 or week 14, he's already played more snaps than he did in the previous season.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like,
yeah,
he hasn't gotten a sack in God knows how long. But if we're going to give guys a pass for being tired of the rookie wall or being tired because of who they played, I mean, why should the rules change? Why should the rules change for Josh Sweat?
No,
He's
you're right.
already played more snaps than he played last year, and he still has 4 games left.
Let's go back to another thing. Then why was Derek Barnett on this team to start the season? Why didn't you have somebody else who would have been more productive, who could have eaten up snaps for you and done something for you, rather than a guy who did nothing and then you cut him?
Or why aren't you playing Nolan Smith enough to take that pressure off of him?
Right.
They have bodies there, but they're not using them.
Yeah. No, agreed. So all of those things are issues. And I do think that's part of it. Like the whole group of them. The Eagles are big on the rotation. All right, let's just keep going. You're in. We know how they've done it over the years. That they haven't had the luxury of that because some guys have gone down and some guys aren't. They must not trust Nolan Smith. I mean, obviously, with the lack of snaps that he gets. But I just think it's a lot of different things are at play here, and it's hurting them in a big way.
Yeah. My thing is trust has to be earned. I understand that. But in order to earn someone's trust, they have to put you in a position to be trusted.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is they haven't put him on the field nearly enough to find out if you can trust him long term or not. My thing is early in the seasons where you get your lumps, baby. I would have had Sidney Brown out there starting against the Patriots. I would have had Nolan Smith out there early. I would have did everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would have did everything possible to make sure those guys get enough snaps early before the schedule gets harder.
Agreed.
Before the pressure starts mounting. I would have had Nolan Smith out there regularly, trusting him. And my thing is, I understand BG's an OG, but my thing is, look, your four DN/edge rushers are Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith. Rotate those guys. It is what it is. Yeah. Rotate him, find out what he is, and you live with the results. I'm tired of this scary ass mentality sometimes. Oh, we don't really trust him yet. Put him out there.
Yeah.
Put him out there. Find out what the hell he is. Sink or swim. This is a Super Bowl caliber team. Screw it. Find out what he is. Now you're in a position where you can't really afford to find out what he is now. Now you kind of have to just tread lightly. And he has been getting more snaps lately because I think they're trying to take some pressure off Sweat. But at the bottom line is, if you would have did that earlier on, then maybe Sweat would have a deeper reservoir of energy at this point in the season, right? Maybe and Hassan is still finding ways to get sacks, man. He just finds ways. But again,
no,
man,
I have no complaints about Hassan. Zero. I mean, zero.
Yeah. Maybe the occasional
guy shows up every game, man.
Yeah. Maybe the occasional complaint in defending the run. Maybe the occasional complaint of missing maybe an open throw tackle. But for the most part, he eats. So I'm not really too. He's the least of my concerns. I'll put you that.
Me too.
He's the least of my concerns.
I mean, he's my. Some people could say Jalen Carter, and that's fair. But or Fletcher Cox. But I would say that those three, if you're going to argue about a defensive MVP, it'd be Cox, Carter, and Reddick. I think they would be the three.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, this is something that we have to hope that they figure out.
Let me throw one more at you. That again, this feeds into everything we're talking about here. But they've allowed 17 passing touchdowns in the last 3 games.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a lot. In the last 6 games, 17. That's almost 3 per game in the air.
It's some guys that don't even have that over the course of a season.
Yeah.
Right now. They're still hanging around 15, 14, whatever it is.
So they got it like that. There's so many things that need to be improved here. And look, it might be just the medicine you need. If Geno can't go or if he's limited, maybe that helps you get going. And there's some confidence carry over. I think right now they're, I don't care how good you are. You lose a couple this way, it shakes you a little bit. It's human nature. So I think maybe that could be a possibility. Vegas thinks the Eagles are a 3.5, 4-point favorite, depending on where you look. So Vegas thinks that much of them. So they're going to have, this is a massive game, man. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's a game that both teams need, actually. So I expect a really intense game. I expect both teams to really bring their A game and be competitive. The Seahawks are they've fallen out of playoff contention, and they need this win. The Eagles right now, they need it for different reasons. Obviously, they're the 5th seed currently. They're trying to make sure they win the division. They lose another game, they can potentially kiss the division and the number 1 seed goodbye. So the Eagles have to win out. It's just that simple. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Anything less than that, man, Lord knows what the outcome may be. And again, once you get into the playoffs and things start, anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, despite my strong criticisms of this team today, Tuesday, December 12th, despite my criticisms today, once you get into the playoffs and now you know who you're playing, you can prepare for that and everything I mentioned prior, anything can happen on any given Sunday in the playoffs.
Agreed.
Let's just make that very clear, Philadelphia Eagles fans. Anything can happen. But the place I don't want to be in is where I'm hoping for something else to happen rather than knowing that we can make something happen. You follow me?
Yeah, I agree with you.
And that's where I don't want to be. I don't want to be hoping for something else to happen. I want to be the one who forces the action.
Totally. Totally with you. And again, I think there's time to get the ship righted in a lot of areas, not all, to the point where you can, because weird stuff happens in the playoffs. And look, Kansas City was not a great defensive team last year, and they won a Super Bowl. So it's doable. It's doable. That's for sure. But if you look at, just to talk about the importance of this game, it's obvious from an Eagles standpoint. I mean, you went from 1-5 with that loss last week, but you're still 10-3. If you get help, you can still be the 1 seed, or you could be the 2 seed. But if you're Seattle, you realize, Tone, that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are 6-7 right now. That includes the Packers, who lost last night. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. But the Packers are the 7 seed at 6-7. Rams are 6-7. Seahawks 6-7. Falcons 6-7. Saints 6-7. So a win or two, a little mini run for Seattle, a little rally, if you will, for Seattle. They're going to sneak in as a 7 seed. They very well could do that. It's not crazy at all. They could possibly be a 6 seed. So they're not dead. Like, I hope Eagles fans aren't looking at this game like, Seattle's lost 4 straight. They're cooked. They're not cooked. They still have a chance to get in the postseason.
Yeah, it's pretty clear, man. Seattle Seahawks far from dead in the water, and they know that. So they know if they get a win over the Philadelphia Eagles, that can put them at least in the 7th spot. Green Bay lost last night, so that helped their chances. Yep. The Rams lost, so that helped their chances. The Falcons lost, so that helped their chances. And look, I'll take it a step further. The Vikings, they're 7-6. The Packers are 6-7.
Yep.
Guess who's sitting at 5-8? The New York Giants.
Boom, not done.
So, by my estimation, the New York Giants are far from out of the mix. Now, do they need a couple things to happen for them to get in? Sure. But at 5-8, they have they're hungry. And if they can sneak into the playoffs because of the way the 6 and 7 spot looks for the NFC, the Minnesota Vikings, you can't trust them as far as you can throw them. The Packers, they had a nice little win streak until it got knocked off by the Giants. So you still have a team that's still learning who they are and learning how to win. So the Packers can really lose any given Sunday, if we're being honest. Rams, same thing. Seahawks, same thing. Falcons, same thing. Saints, same thing.
None of those teams are special.
None of those teams are slam dunks in any category on neither side of the ball. So the Giants, I mean, let's really look at their last matchups. Outside of the Philadelphia Eagles, they got Saints and Rams, which actually, if they beat those 2 teams, that helps their chances of getting in because the Saints and Rams have the same record as them. So, I mean, I don't see the Giants beating the Eagles at all, but I don't put it past them to give us a fight because of the way things are going on. So, the Giants, if they finish the season, what is that? 7-10. Is that good enough to get into the playoffs? I don't know.
Probably
I don't know. I doubt it. But the fact that they're 5-8 and then the 6th seed in the NFC is 6-7, or what is it? 7-6. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. So, look, man. These next few teams, the Eagles are going to be playing. They're going up against hungry teams. So, Eagles fans, don't punch anything in as a win already. Make sure you still show up.
Yeah, and the Giants have won 3 straight too. Like, I'm not telling you they've won 3 straight. Yeah,
I haven't paid any attention. Wow.
They've won at Washington. I'm not telling you they've beaten good teams. They've won at Washington. They beat New England, Packers, and they beat Green Bay. So all I'm saying is, if they get New Orleans next week, which winnable game, whatever. So if they win that, they come in to Philly having won 4 straight, feeling pretty good about themselves. So it's just not a layup. That's all I'm saying. I think the Eagles win the game, but it's not a layup by any stretch. For sure. Any defense on the field this much would be gas. That's why the offense must run the ball. Look, you're preaching the choir here. I agree with you, brotherly tough. I would like to see them run it better and more effective than they have. I just think they're not utilizing one of their better weapons on offense. If you don't get Swift either runs or swing passes or screens or whatever, I just think you can do more with him, and they're not. There's a lot more to be tapped there with that guy.
Listen, when we were talking to Dave and I mentioned, the coaching staff, they trust these guys to win, but do the players trust these coaches to win, right? These coaches, I meant what I said. These coaches have been riding these players in hopes of the players elevating their scheme. And I feel like it's not a player's job to elevate your scheme. It's a coach's job to help elevate a player. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing Shanahan, I'm seeing the Cowboys, I'm seeing McCarthy. I'm seeing these two coaches creating these massive opportunities for their guys. It's the windows that Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott are throwing to are just enormous.
Yeah. And
that's not just because guys are winning their matchups. The route concepts, the scheme, the play calling, the scheme, however you want to describe it, whatever lingo you want to use, whatever they're doing, it's a lot. It's making these guys these guys' jobs significantly easier, and it's giving them an opportunity to showcase their skill set in open field. And the Eagles have not been doing that. Everything is complicated for Jalen Hurts right now. I can't remember the last easy throw I've seen him make. He's not getting any easy, quick rhythm throws. I'm not seeing it.
Well, you know what it reminds me of a little. This is an extreme, and this is probably a little bit before your time, Tone. But when the Eagles had Randall, Buddy Ryan used to say to him, "Hey, just go out and make me 4 or 5 plays, and we'll do the rest on defense." And it was like he didn't give him enough help. Now, the Eagles have way better personnel around Jalen than Randall had around him.
Better O-line, better receivers, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a straight comp. But I do feel like sometimes it's like drop back, deep ball, rather than, man, let's make this like a 3-step zip or whatever. The stuff you see with Purdy, who doesn't necessarily have the arm talent that Jalen does, but man, it looks good. However, whatever it is.
There's no plan.
And I think they would benefit from that in a big way. I do.
Agreed, yeah. I don't see a plan. Right. I honestly believe their plan is Jalen, drop back, make a play. If it's not there, Jalen, drop back, find AJ, find Devontae, maybe find Goddard. If it's not there, make a play with your legs. All right, second down, repeat. Third down, repeat. I don't see them trying to make his job easier. I don't care how much you're paying him. Make his job easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really ridiculous, man. Shanahan does everything to make Purdy's job easier. McCarthy has has exposed us to this new version of Dak Prescott that we never see before. So, I can't just sit here and say, "Oh, yeah, the personnel is not executing." I'm not buying that, man. I'm not buying that at all.
Yeah, you make a good point. I mean, as much as there were a couple. McCarthy's been a punchline for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton was a punchline with the way the season started. Like, there are guys that who are punchlines who are saying, "Yeah, how you like me now?" The way that this season started. It's pretty amazing what's going on. I agree with Coach Marcus that Jalen doesn't check down enough. It's something in his game that he needs to be better at, because that is something that's there. And
sounds like coaching to me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I hope that Brian Johnson's not afraid to coach him hard and coach him hard.
Because we talk about Jalen Hurts being this coachable guy.
Yeah.
He's so coachable.
And he's
he's a coach's son.
Yeah. He isn't one of these guys. He's not Carson Wentz who's going to get a red ass. He's not that.
So, I mean, if that's what we're seeing from him, that's been, in my opinion, that's been instilled in him. He's been giving the leeway or the brevity to make those kind of decisions or plays. If they're in there saying, "Hey, listen, Jalen, go through these 2 reads, boom, boom. If they're not there, hit Swift. He's going to be open." And if he's not doing that, then okay, sure, that's probably on him. And I'm not denying the fact that there's been open throws that he's just not making. No. I want to make that clear as well. I'm not taking the pressure off Jalen Hurts, not one bit. we've seen some situations where I'm like, bro, let it fucking rip.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know what I mean? So I'm sensing hesitation from him. I don't feel like he's playing with the same instincts he's played with in 2022. And it's showing on the field. It's showing with the play call. It's just not a good mix right now. What's going on between him and the coaches? And I think they need to go back to the basics. Go back to how he got here. Get the RPO going. Get the ball out of his hands fast. Get the ball out of his hands fast. Turn him into a quick decision maker. What made him so special last year was his ability to make quick, snappy, instinctual decisions. We're not seeing that this year. We're seeing hesitancy. I think he has the slowest release time in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, again, I don't want to take the pressure off Jalen Hurts because he deserves as much criticism as everybody else on this team. Best believe that, and you making the most money, my man. We on that ass. So, this team has a lot to answer for in these next 4 weeks. Will they get it done? Only time will tell.
Yeah. All right, let's step aside. Let's come back. We got our NFL segment coming up at the top of the hour, but we're going to hit a bunch of other things, including the Sixers. You know how many Sixers won by last night, Tone? 45 points.
What did I say yesterday? What did I?
Let's throw.
What did I say yesterday, Rob? Just tell me. What did I say?
Yeah, you did. You had it. Let's throw the big fella a little love.
Barbecue chicken.
Barbecue. Yes. And it was a lot of it was barbecue for everybody, man. Everybody got fed last night that was wearing a Sixers jersey. So let's dig into that when we get back. A bunch of things, some injury updates. We're going to look back at both of the games last night. 2 upsets in the NFL on the Monday night doubleheader. We're also going to dig into our top 5 QB power rankings, and also part of our next segment, who's the best coach in Philadelphia right now? We'll do all those things when we get back. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. Tone DeShields, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I'm going to tell you about Pro Action Restoration because I am in the midst of seeing the great work that Pro Action Restoration does, because I had a problem at my house with water damage. They came out, they fixed it. They are handling all of the contract work, including the drywall that needs to go up, the ceiling, the carpet, you name it, across the board. They're doing all of that. And if you have any issues, whether it's water, fire, smoke, mold damage to your property, you building your house, they're the people to reach out to. Pro Action Restoration is on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured, serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action Restoration will work in conjunction with your insurance company. I can tell you that from firsthand. Whether it's water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.